Hey there, fellow maker. Welcome down to the shop. Bill here. Last week, we made the symbiote tube, full and complete with the puppetable symbiote. And we were kind of blown away by the response to the video. People seem to like it a lot, but a lot of people suggested animating this with some sort of mechanical means or air bladders, or basically puppeting this thing without having to touch it. So I cooked up a couple ideas, did some 3D modeling, and here's what I've come up with. This is a rod that will go, this is a rod that will go the length of our hole, our puppeting hole right here. The ends of this were not small enough to fit in the bearings that I had, so I machined this down on the lathe. So that my little bearings would fit right on the end of that. And this is gonna spin as a camshaft to push a couple of nubbins up and down there. Next, I made some end caps here. These are all 3D printed in ABS. These are to hold my bearings, and I'll show you how those get pressed on right now. So this is a small bearing, and that's supposed to go in that hole. It is quite snug, but I should be able to press it right on, just like that, and that's not coming out. Got a pair of these, and the idea is that they will hold this aluminum rod like so on the inside of our frame, and then it can spin. Now to make it spin, I happen to have a motor on hand. This is a 12-volt DC motor. It's got a gear reduction on it so that it spins much slower than the actual motor spins. It's definitely gonna need to spin even slower than that, so I've done some work with gears. These gears here, just like everything else printed in ABS over on my Ultimaker, they're designed, one of them is designed to go on this shaft of the motor, just like that. And this one is designed to go on this shaft, just like that. So this guy here will drive this one, and because this gear is so much bigger, it will spin slower, roughly a 3-to-1 gear reduction. I do want to get all this stuff put together, make sure it works, but a couple more things before we can get there. These are pretty snug on their respective shafts, but I want to add a little bit of insurance and add a set screw. I 3D modeled a hole in this guy, and I designed it for an M4 set screw, and I have an M4 tap, and I can just run this right in there and cut some threads. Just want to do this nice and slowly. I don't want to wreck my 3D print. ABS actually does a pretty good job of being machined, so cutting threads in it goes pretty well. I'm going to grab a set screw or a grub screw, whatever you want to call it. And now I can take my little grub screw and screw it right through into the threads. And it's poking out on the other side, and that will lock it into the flat on our motor. So I'm gonna jam that on there and then tighten this down gently because it is a plastic part. I don't wanna split it. And that is nice and secure. We'll do the same thing when we put this on the larger shaft. Now this shaft doesn't have a flat on it, but it is very snug. It doesn't want to come off anyway, so I think that's going to be just fine. These things are going to go here. I need to move my battery holder. Got a chisel. I'm going to be very careful and pop that off of the wood. It's just held on with hot glue. It should come off, no problem. Hey, look at that. Didn't even hurt myself. So this piece is going to hold this end in. It's actually going to be on the inside, but since this is rounded, I need to flatten it so that my screw holes have a little more to work with. And we'll cut a quick little notch out of there. I don't get a lot of excuses to use my coping saw these days, but this is the perfect opportunity to use it. It's actually running into the cloth and having trouble. Another tool you could use for this is this crazy saw blade for the rotary tool. Check this out. Ooh. There we go. That's gonna go in there. Very nice. Just figuring out the placement of my brackets here. Now, these are going to be held down a couple different ways, I think. I've got some screws. This end here isn't going to be on the motor. I'm just going to screw that into the wood. Got my drill. Gonna drill some holes. So the trick here is that these need to go on the inside. And I've drilled some holes, so I can do that. And now I can put a nut on this side. I'll come back in and put washers on these, I think, if this works. If it doesn't work, I'm not really gonna waste my time. This is kind of a proof of concept. Motor time. Actually, I need to take this gear off. I can fit it through here. This is the mount I made for it. So that slides in. So that's just a pressure fit there, but I made an end cap for it here, and that'll keep it from wanting to go anywhere, hopefully. This is going to line up with the screw holes on the other side so I can screw them together. This will go here like that, and I'll drill a couple holes. Now we put everything together and cross our fingers that everything still lines up. So a few things are going to happen at once here. I'm going to put this on there. So this has to go back a bit and into this one. And then now I have to line those up and feed them through. There it is, yeah. I have to attach my motor. So that'll go in like that. The screw goes right through like that. I don't actually have a wrench the size of these nuts. This is like a 6.5 millimeter. But this'll do for now. Now I can put the little gear on. Should slide on and mesh with the other gears. Oh, just like that. And now, the moment of truth, I'll power this thing and it should spin this rod. This is a 12-volt AC adapter, goes in the wall. This is a 12-volt motor. It should run off of it just fine. Got my outlet here. I'm gonna hook up some leads and just test and see if it wants to move. Step one, doesn't move. So let's get plugged in there and contact. It's moving! I think it's a little quick, but that's what we got. If I wanted to change the speed of this, I'd have to change the ratio of these gears. Or I might be able to maybe put a resistor on this so it goes a little slower. I don't really know. But this is very promising. It's spinning and I'm happy. And it's got quite a lot of torque. It's just a little loud. I've been pondering what I can do to make some cams on here so that as it rotates, it pushes it kind of in a regular fashion. And I have an idea. I think it's the simplest solution. First, I want to drill some holes in this rod, and I want them to go all the way through, and I want them to be on the spot with the elastic. So one there and then one here off axis 90 degrees. Now I can take this whole cam shaft out and drill those holes. For the actual cams, I'm just going to use this stiff steel wire in a couple of weird shapes, and as it rotates, I'm thinking it'll animate it. So let's take this apart and drill some holes. If you don't have any of these magnet trays, right, like that, I recommend it. Even just for like plastic parts, it's great to just hold things, but even better if you have metal things like this bearing or these screws, drop them in there and they're not gonna run away on you. So that's where I wanna drill my hole, but drilling a hole through something that is round can be challenging. So I'm just gonna flatten that spot with my rotary tool. To make sure our drill bit doesn't wander, I'm gonna center punch this. There we go. Now let's drill some holes. Just gonna round these corners off a little bit. See if our wire wants to fit through there. Perfect. There's our wire. I can go through here. And it's really snug, which is great. Look at that. So now when it spins, it'll do that. But I can bend this to be a more useful shape. Let's do it in both directions. So I'll bend this one down. So the other side I'm gonna bend up, right there. And now it definitely can't come out. I can just sort of round these over a little bit. And you know what? The end of this is kind of pointy, so I can round it over a lot and clamp it down. Yep. Yep. There we go. That won't be poking anything. Time for our first test. Now, I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to hook these up. One way will spin it in one direction, one way will spin it in another. So we have a 50% chance that this is gonna spin the right way. Ready? Here we go. That's the wrong way. Take two for the first time. Nope, that's definitely the wrong way. Okay, the other way was right. It just didn't work the way I thought it would. All right, let me see how that looked. I need it like this. Maybe I do have to glue this in position so it can't rotate. I was kind of hoping it would want to stay that way, but I don't know what made me think that would work. Spent a little time thinking about this solution and I think I could make it work, but this rotatingness, definitely an oversight. So I'm gonna try something else. I might come back to this, but I think I'll make a cam just out of some plastic. I have some Sintra here. This is just a foam PVC about 1/2 inch thick. I wanna make a cam part and then kind of a collar on it so I can put a set screw in it, hopefully to keep it from rotating. And I need to cut little circles out of this. Use a hole saw and the drill press. I forgot the word drill press. Let's go to the drill press. Burp. Out you go. Ta-da. This is going to get glued down, just like that, kind of in the center. The next thing I want to do is drill a hole through the center of these. This is a center finding tool. It's super, super duper handy. Boop. So this is going to go through the center of that. So this is about 3/8 in diameter. I have a 3/8 Forstner bit, and we're gonna head back to the drill press. Whee! Hole. This will go in there. It's snug, which I appreciate. Now we need to cut out the cam shapes. They don't have to be regular. In fact, if they're kind of lumpy, that would be fine. So I'm just gonna freehand these. You could just make an ellipse, like a football shape maybe. So as it rotates it, we get wider and thinner. I went to art school, can you believe it? Let's go cut these out on the bandsaw. Hello there, I'm the Mechanist. And while Bill's working on that, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons over on patreon.com/punishedprops. If you'd like to help us out over there, you can chuck us $1 and get access to a bunch of exclusive content, including behind the scenes vlogs, extra credit videos for all of our builds, and early releases for all of our build videos. Thanks again, and now let's get back to the build. This is our cams here, and I want to have a set screw on them like we did before, so I'm gonna cross drill a hole through there, like that. And these will also get tapped just like we did in those 3D printed parts. And I'm actually gonna line the set screw up. Actually, I'm gonna take the set screw out. Line it up with that hole that I made before. And it should at least kind of poke into that hole a little bit and help provide a little extra staying power. So that should keep this from wanting to twist on the rod like that. Okay, cool. Those seem moderately strong. But the idea is that as this spins, those kind of bump out at irregular intervals. Or not, they're regular intervals, but irregular shapes. I hope this works, because I really don't want to have to take this apart and put it back together again. So these are all set up. We're going to plug it in and see if it works better than the last one. We have nowhere to go but up. That seemed to have a little bit of trouble. No, it's getting caught. That's what I want. It's just getting caught in the fabric here. Okay, here's my idea. Gonna grab just a thin sheet of styrene plastic and glue that to the elastic in there and to the fabric a little bit so that this has something nice and smooth to run on. Got my hot glue here, and I'm going to carefully add some hot glue. Slide this piece in where I need it, center it on this guy, then maybe add a little more hot glue up here, maybe a little bit down here, so that hopefully it doesn't wander on us. Do the same thing on this guy. I'm so confident this is gonna work. So confident. This is so janky. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna glue this back here. Oh, I need to be able to get the battery out. Damn. I didn't think this through at all. That's an accessory. I have hot glue. That's a emergency sandpaper. This is really getting glued over here in a position where I can actually get the battery out. There we go, so the battery can get out. Great. I predict that it will work, but it's probably gonna still be too fast. That's kind of awesome. The motion is good. I wish it was slower, and I wish it wasn't as loud, but it looks kind of cool. It is. A couple days later, the motion was pretty good, but I wanted to be able to slow it down. Did some research, and I'm gambling on this thing. According to Amazon, this is a 12-volt DC motor speed controller. So hopefully I can wire it into my Symbiote motor, slow it down a touch. We've got a nifty diagram here to help us out. It came with a switch to turn it on and off and change the direction. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. It seems like all I have to do is bring in my power there, which would be this guy, and then send that to the motor, this guy, which my motor is over there. Boop, boop, boop. So this is the output, and it doesn't much matter which wire goes in. I could do it that way or that way. It'll just change the direction the motor spins. So if it's going the wrong way, I can just swap these. Nice and snug. This does matter which one goes where. Got a tiny positive and a tiny negative. So make sure we do that correctly. This is just the plug I was using before. This did not come with this. Cool. That's all set up. I should be able to power it and change the speed with this guy. So I'm guessing this is all the way down. Let's plug it in, see what happens. Nothing. What happens when I turn it up? Nothing. What if I turn it up more? Also nothing. Okay, I've attached the switch. I don't know if I've attached it properly. I could go do some reading, or I could plug this in and see what happens. Here we go. The green light is on, just like before. I'll turn it up a little bit, and then I can grab my switch and turn it on and see what happens. Nothing. Turn it all the way up. Fine, I'll go do some reading. Did a little more research, reconfigured the wires for the switch, and let's see how it works. Ready, and go. Ah, it works! Okay, can I turn it down? I can! Look how slow it'll go. It's struggling. I actually kind of like that. It's probably gonna burn up the motor, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't seem happy about this, but I think it's kind of cool. Nice. Okay, that's cool. All right, I like that a lot better. It's still kind of loud, but I like the motion a lot better. All right, we have one more thing to try, one more thing. This is that one more thing. This is a motion sensor, and it's crazy easy. You just plug it in line with something, unplug the power supply, plug that into this, and then plug this into that. Now this can interrupt the power to that based on motion. So if I turn this on and then move, maybe turn, oh, there it goes. Turn it up. And then it stops. And then I'll move again. Just gonna turn that off for now. This thing, we read up on it and it actually has, I'm gonna unplug it first, but it has an adjustment for how long it should last. And apparently you can just crack this thing open and change that. Oh, there it is, that's gone forever. There it is, there's a little potentiometer in there, and that sets how long it will send power before it shuts off again. So you just come in with a screwdriver and you can change the timing on that. I guess that's as short as it can go right there. So we'll start with how short it can go and change it if we have to. You know what, I should just drill a hole in the back of this, right there, and then I can just change it whenever I want. Now I can just tidy all this up and we'll be ready to go. Ta-da! That's kind of cool. I'm so glad that we took another couple days and tried out some new parts, because I learned an awful lot and I feel like it's a lot better, a little bit slower. So this little motion sensor thing's pretty great. I put a little bit of black duct tape around it to kind of narrow its field of view. Otherwise it does kind of see everything in the shop, so if you move nearby it'll go off. We'll have to figure out a place to put this in the shop and then have the motion sensor nearby so that when people walk by, this thing goes off and then they become friends with it. Our little pet symbiote. Hey, thanks so much for checking out the video. I hope this was helpful for you. Maybe you're not building a symbiote, but maybe you're animating some other proper costume piece and you found this helpful. If you'd like to learn more, we've got a bunch of other videos over on punishprops.com. I also take questions down in the comments, so if you have any inquiries about this particular build, let me know down there, and I'll try my best to get back to you. I'd like to thank our patrons for helping support us and everything we do here in the Punish Props Academy shop. You guys are fantastic. If you'd like to join us over there, throw a couple bucks our way and get access to some exclusive content, it's patreon.com/punishprops. That'll do it for the build today. Thank you again so much for hanging out with me in the shop, and I'll see you in the next build.
Do some talking?
Hey, I'm Bill, and I'm talking at the microphone, and I made a stick. Uh-oh. This is a 12 volt, 12 volt. Yay! Oh. Yay!